Hello everyone, and welcome to today's session, How to Navigate Your First 90 Days as a CISO. I am Ritika Chakraborty and I will be your host for the day. Our speaker for the session today is Mansi Thapar, IT leader, Head Information Security at Jaguar Group. The session will be in listen-only mode and will last for 50 minutes, out of which last 10 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A, requesting all the participants to post your questions in the Q&A window. If you need any assistance during the session, do connect with us in the chat box. Also, we do have two criteria for certification. Participants need to attend the complete webinar, and the second one is fill in the survey and the right answers to the 3 questions based on the webinar, which will be sent to you one day post the webinar. A quick update to all our women attendees as we celebrate Women's History Month. EC Council is happy to announce that our women attendees can gain access to an exclusive CodeRed box bundle designed by global women leaders. Dr. Anuradha Rao, founder of Cyber Cognizance, and Lisa, CISSP certified instructor for the United States Air Force, which will be releasing soon. To do so, please make sure that you attend the complete webinar and fill in the survey. Now, about our speaker. Mansi is a strategic planner and thinker with 20 years of experience in all verticals of IT, be it SDLC, information security, program management, operations, business process, business excellence, or analytics. She has prestigious certifications like PMP and Six Sigma Black Belt, ITIL, ISO 27001 Implementer, and PCI DSS compliance under her belt. The above combination provides her an edge to better understand business process, people, and technology, allowing her to plan, monitor, and implement information programs across the organization. Legacy software transitions, ERP implementations, IT infrastructure roadmap creation and execution, business continuity planning, incident and risk management, deployment of cyber and information security framework under awareness trainings, GDRP, application security, etc. are some of the key assessments handled. She is also on the advisory board of EC Council's CASE certification and has bagged many awards in the information technology and security space. She firmly believes in giving back to the community and has done numerous webinars, seminars, panel discussions, and white papers to share the knowledge, in addition to several projects for the upliftment of women in IT and information security. Now, without any further delay, I would hand over the session to you, Mansi.
Hi, thank you, Ritika. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I would really like to thank EC Council. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are joining from different parts of the world. And I hope that this session brings some inputs to you if you are an aspiring CISO or you want to be a CISO. So basically, the topic, as Ritika told today, is regarding that if you have joined as a CISO, so like, or you have been, maybe a new organization, or you have been promoted to being a CISO in your same organization, some tips and tricks so that your first 90 days are a win-win situation for you as well as for your company. So let's start. This is something about myself. So basically, Ritika has told you almost everything here. The only thing which now I want to highlight is that one thing which is my first tip is the learning. Because if you see that in my career of 20 years, I made it a point that I should always keep learning. So being a leader, I think that is the first thing that we should always keep in mind, that our learning curve should never stop. What I do for myself is that I have given me a target that at least every year I need to do one certification which is relevant to my career, or as a person, or as a personality. But yes, second, I would say we should always have a mentor as well, who tells you that what will be best certification or best roadmap for you in your education, so that you can enhance your career. So this is the first tip on the first slide. So this is about me. I think without further ado, we should start the course, because I really am looking forward to the question answer session. So I would like to complete the presentation fast, and so that we can interact with the amazing audience which we have here. Okay, so as the name suggests, CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. And who is a Chief Information Security Officer? He or she is someone who has the main responsibility of securing all the information assets of an organization. Seems to be a very simple definition, but all of us know that it is not something which is so simple. Only the word is something which really sounds very simple as a designation. See, I would like to say that 10 years back, yes, I would say CISO's role was a far more easier than it is today. Earlier, the CISO need to just maybe, make sure that my perimeter is secure, make sure all the patch management is in place, make sure that all people are trained so that they don't work anything that can harm the organization. My DLPs are in place, my systems are upgraded, and that's about it. And that was an IT function which was looking after the security, because I would say in all the organization 50-60% of the work was done digital, and the rest was not taken care of CISO, because it was not an IT subject. And but now words like hacking, virus, malware, you would agree it's not something which is IT terms. Everybody knows what this is. So now the CISO's prerogative has changed completely. Now, because this is very important for us, to being an aspiring CISO or to be a CISO, to first understand what is the demand for the role. So that's why I'll take a minute or two to explain that. So what I feel is that now CISO is everywhere. They need to take care. Of course, the routine work is already there, the patching, the upgrades, the user awareness. But now CISO being an internal party, they are now an external, because now all of us know that there are a lot of privacy laws coming in. CISO, if there is a breach, CISO might need to speak to journalists. They might need to talk to legal. They might need to go and talk to the customer. So that has really broadened the scope of CISO. So here, communication skills, which maybe was not important 10 years back, is one of the major skill a CISO needs. Second, I would say that there's a lot of, they need to really maybe understand the software as well, because now mostly everything is on software. So they need to understand maybe like, how the softwares work. Earlier, it was like, how to configure a firewall, how to configure switches for security, you're done. But now you need to get inside the application, understand the application, and then maybe, work on application security. Third is, of course, now it is only not the digital thing. Even the physical security falls into the prerogative of CISO. People are using so much technology in IoT. They are using robots. They are, in manufacturing. Earlier, this was not in the prerogative of a security person, but now because of digitalization, and because that even if a robot goes down, the manufacturing setup can go for a toss. So that again now OT is now a big thing which falls under CISO for manufacturing setups. So the role has really broadened. See, my today's topic is not that we discuss the role, but we need to understand that now technology, being a technology leader is very important, but at the same time, to run a to be a C-suite leader, what all is required? That is something which we really need to look at. So what I have done here is that once we are, what I feel is once you are entering an organization, or you are, maybe getting promoted to being a CISO, it's an amazing journey, because now maybe you are getting into that role where you can do something for organization, you can change policies, you can bring in the change. So but from where do I start? Do I just get in and start doing the fixes which are required on the software or the hardware, or do I just go and meet people, or I just get the gap assessment done very quickly? So what all should I do? So first and foremost, I would say that before we jump into what first 30, 60, or 90 days look like, one thing which we really need to focus on is that when we are getting into an organization as a leader, we need to first ask so few questions which we should always keep in mind when we are working. First question, if you want to note down, you can note down somewhere, is first and foremost is do not lose focus. You should always remember why I have been hired here. So always, keep on reminding yourself that what is my focus. Second is, do you know all the stakeholders in the organization which matter? That is very important. That question should always say that do I know who is whom, and where I'll get my alliances, because you at the end of the day you need to do the work and get the work done. So that is very important. Third is, what is the organization culture? Because see, all organizations have a culture in which they believe that everybody should work in. You being a CISO, CIO, or any other leadership person, you need to know that what is expected of you as a behavior skill. Technology comes second. So these are some of the questions you always should keep in mind. Fourth, which I always keep in mind when I'm also working, is that where can I get the quick wins? In my first 30, 60, or 90 days, I'm going to keep on looking at this, that where I can, show the impact in my first 3 months. Keep these questions handy, and then we should discuss more on now what exactly in a CISO role we should do this. But this is something which I wanted to tell you regarding a general leadership thing, which is very important to be a CISO. So what here I've done is just to make the presentation and the flow very maybe very simple to understand. I have divided this into three parts. Your first 90 days, so that you can also set your perspective right. And I would like to add a disclaimer before I start my presentation, is that these are my personal views and it has got nothing to do for where the organization I work with. So basically what I've done here is that first 30 days, you need to prepare and assess. This is the time, you need to understand the gravity of the situation. You need to understand how are people working. The next I have divided into that, yes, now you have a fair idea where you stand. Now is the time to plan. That's why my first tip was learning. My second tip was those 5 questions, which you need to always remember when you start working in a new organization or you have been promoted. And the third is planning. So you always need to plan. That's why I always say the second skill from which I mentioned earlier was learning. The second skill which a CISO needs is project management. They have to be very good project managers. So why I'm saying that, I'll explain in the other slides. And third is, of course, now you have the plan, you are acting upon it, but how will you measure it? That is very important. That is also a project management skill, which is very important, because at the end of the day, the management also wants to see what changes you have brought. You also want to see how your team is functioning and what's happening. And because if you're a CISO in a company where there are like 50 offices, how things are working, or you have like 15 projects which are running in, so how are you monitoring it? That is something we need to build in your 60 to 90 days. So let's look at the first 0 to 30 days. So basically so here is the 0 to 30 days plan, which I followed and I was successful. And this is something I've discussed with many peer CISOs as well, and also with some of the mentors, and most of them feel that we have collated this. And I've also read a lot of books, from OVASP. They have a good document on 0 to 90 days. I've gone through a lot of other documents, other videos on the internet, which talk about this, and I've come up with this. So I hope, and I really hope, that this really supports all of us when we are building up our security office. So first and foremost, as I said, establishing relationships. Mostly what I've seen is that because maybe you're a technology person, or a technocrat, and you have now been given the responsibility of the CISO, we miss to start our work by establishing relationship with the C level, or with, as I said, the stakeholders. So I would say first 30 days, just concentrate on that. It is very, very important. We'll be doing other things as well, but this is something which you should be your main focus area. And for this, as I said earlier, the two skills which you require are communication and learning. So let's see, like, what I can do. Oops, sorry. I think my slides are just running. 1 second. Yeah. Yeah. So first and foremost, which I tell everybody is sell CISO as a service to the organization in your first 30 days. I can give you an example. Like how I started this is I was sitting with my management and first understand, what are their perspectives? What do they think about a security function? And I gave them an example. I said, sir, can you tell me what does brake do to a car? And he said, yeah, of course, Mansi, it helps you stop. I said, yes, it helps you stop, but it gives you speed. Because at the back of the mind, you know that I can go on a very high speed because I have brakes. Someone is there to protect me. That is what a security function is into an organization. That is the mindset you need to get in on your first 30 days. Because when you enter an organization, mostly you will see some will say that security is a policing function. Some will say that, you always put a lot of stops to our work. You're not able to work. Some will say that it's an IT function, that only IT needs to take care of it. It is not my responsibility. So different kind of varied things we have heard from different organizations. So first and foremost, I would just, tell you that try to get this thing across at least to the senior leadership that it is a business enablement function. It is something which will support you. This is one example I gave you for breaks. You can give another example. Maybe, you can show them that this is just on a high level, that this is your, maybe, this is your dealer management system to the salespeople. Now, if you guys are not, if because of a human error, if the system goes down or some wrong entry has been done, this is the amount of money you're going to lose. So please support us so that we can build the security around it. I am sure 100% you will get the support. So please concentrate on your first 30 days on building the relationships, the shared responsibility model. This is something which should be there in your talks initially. You need to break the bias that security is not only for IT, or if something goes wrong, only the CISO and the security team needs to be blamed. That thing has to be grilled in the first 30 days into the culture. That is a shared responsibility. All of us together need to manage security. And how you'll get the support and buy-in depends on all organization to organization. So that's why I said in the first 30 days, identify your stakeholders, identify where your alliances are, identify who can support you in getting your quick wins. Maybe some departments you will feel people like they are open to security and they're really open and they want to get things implemented. And in the other, maybe they're very rigid. But you know that both are critical functions. So you know where to, focus. Focus, show their wins to the other department, and you'll get all the support you need. So please, that is my first thing for first 30 days. The most important thing is to set the perspective right, not in your team, but your peer teams, so they understand why the security function is there. Now let's come to the second point in the first 30 days, which I'm sure all of you know, but I will just, jotted down some points so that it, gets a checklist kind of a thing in your mind. This is the place where you need to collect all the information rather than just going down and start getting your hands dirty. No, first 30 days, get all the information you can get for the organization. It can be what existing technologies they're using. It can be what kind of, even in IT, even in security, what all things are already in place. Where is the critical data? Where is it lying? And now, because of a lot of privacy laws which are coming in, you need to make sure that on what all regulatory things the company falls in, where privacy laws are concerned, where personal data is lying. Second is, of course, like if it is a bank or it is a very critical function, there might be other compliances like insurance sector. So there might be other compliances they need to look at. Make sure you have the list ready that what all compliances they need to look at in your first 30 days. And also there might be, something which are good, like they already have some policies and processes in place. Why to reinvent the wheel? Get all that data in. One thing which is very important, the historic security incidents. Has there been any incidents in the last 5-10 years? If yes, how did they cope with it? Were they able to come out clean, or they had some issues? Was there forensics involved? Was there any PR which was done from the organization side? Even this is something I think before the interview, also when you were hired as CISO, you should work on something like this. That you should know where, if was there any security incidents. One thing which is important, you should know where the shadow IT lies. All this information you will get if you have built up good relationships with the departments. So shadow IT is something that you can get from there. Do they have any security budgets in place, or you need to make your budgets? That is something which you really need to know. Is there already a MIS or already a reporting structure which has already been used by maybe a prior CISO was there, or maybe the security function? Is there any reports which the MD is already seeing, or the board is already seeing for security? You should get a hang of it. I'm not saying that that is something which you should use, but at least to get the perspective that what they are seeing right now, so that you just don't go and just abrupt things. It has to be in a very structured way. So to work in a structured way, you need to collect information. So first 30 days, this is what we need to do. One is take the initial inventory and sell CISO as a service. I hope some points were clear here. Now let's go that now we have all the information we needed. We have all the org charts. We have all the important people. We have scheduled a lot of meetings. We have talked to a lot of people. We understood the culture. Now what? Now is the time to plan. Now you need to know where you need to focus. Well, now let's go back to our, the triad, which I just love. I think this is the perfect thing where security can be, clubbed into three parts. The CIA, the right information to the right people at the right time. This is my mantra for security. And this is something which has gone a long way to educate people as well. If they understand this, they're going to take care of security themselves. So this is something which we also need to look at. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability of their, it can be IT assets, it can be any assets which are critical. So go back to your basics. Now let's look at what now I need to do. So what we generally feel is that after you have collected all the information, one thing which we really should look at is the framework which we want to look at. Maybe the company is already running an ISO 27001 framework. So maybe we pick that up and maybe we add something from COVID or NIST and we are done. If it's not there, so basis understanding of the organization, it's better to always pick a framework and start working on that where do we stand and where we need to build. So security assessment is something we should really work on gap analysis, security assessment. So after 30 days, this is something we need to focus on, that what security assessment I'm going to use and how I'm going to use it, and start taking out the gaps. But please make sure that it should not look like policing. It is not something that we are showing that you have not done this, you have not done that. It has to be in a very, very constructive manner. It has to be a committee driven approach that you need to really, really, look at. Because sometimes what happens is that maybe you know, you've gone into an organization and you feel that the endpoint security is so weak, but maybe the perimeter is stronger. So you need to, go in, tell them that these are the good things, and this is something which we really need to work on. That this is where we stand. So I am sure that all organizations understand CMMI. So it's always better to align your security also in a similar fashion. You can tell them that these are the 5 levels of security. We are standing here and we want to reach here. So for this, we are doing this gap assessment so that we can work on it. So it has to be in a very, very constructive way. But this is the right time to get the security assessment and gap analysis done. I Ideally I would say that it's good to have it at 30 days and then maybe at a 90 plus days, so you can really show an amazing difference to the C level. That see, this is what was there and this is what we have achieved, and then I am sure you'll get a lot of other budgets approved. So this is the time where you get the security assessment done. Second is this is the time of team building, because in your first 30 days you must have evaluated now your team, what all information, what all they do and stuff. So now at this time you need to create a roadmap for them for at least 3 months. I'm sure you would see that there are some people who are good, some based on your information now might have to upskill themselves, you might have to hire new people. So this kind of an org chart of your security team needs to be ready now. That this is what you're looking at. This is already I have. This is the skill enhancements which if these people can do in 3 months, they'll be up and running. And this is something which I need to hire. Because when you do this and present to the management, you'll come to know what is their perspective about, how much they want to spend. Are they open with getting new resources on board, or they want us to get the old ones only trained? So a lot of things will become very clear if you have that org chart with clear JDs in place. Second, what I always do in after 30 days is get the larger org chart created. By larger, what we mean is that one is that, okay, this is the security team. But yes, as I told earlier, the BU needs to understand, the organization needs to understand this is a shared responsibility. So you need to have, InfoSec officers now aligned. So when you were meeting in your first 30 days, you need to get that idea across to all the BU functions that, you need one coordinator, one representative from the organization who can manage the security projects with you. Now you can see it is not a small uh, team you have. You'll have such a large team to work on your security projects. This really helps. And, people seeing their names on the org chart, it really, really helps them to, put that thing that, yes, we are also doing something for the organization. What I did was that we even added 5 marks in their KRA for the coordinators or the BU InfoSec officers, as we call it, that, who have someone because they volunteered, some were told to do so, that if they do good in the first 6 months, those 5 marks will be given by me or by the, the security manager to them. That if they get the security initiatives run in their organization. So this is something which really helped you in those 30 to 60 days to know people, because you don't know all the departments. So this person is your go-to person when you want to, get the security things done. Third is, as I said in my first slide, now you have the management buy-in. You should have the sponsor, who's your sponsor from the management side for your security. Because security needs to be driven from the top. So at least after 30 days, maybe you can do a high level meeting where your executive sponsor gives a push to the program. They say that, this is the thing and everybody needs to support the security function to get this thing done. This is something you really need to work on in your first, in your 30 to 60 days, so that the perspective is now clear in the organization that this is what needs to be done. The mission statement of security is now set. So this is something we really need to work on. That this is our goals, and this is how all the entire organization is going to help us, achieve those goals. So just summarizing. So now, because we have now set the goals, we have set the committees, we have set our team, what is expected. We have collected all the data. So now, as we said, we need to plan. So as you can see on the screen, the information security is a vast subject. But now, after understanding all the data you have collected, you must know where do the organizations stand, where data security is concerned, where application security is concerned, endpoint, network, perimeter. Do they have anything on public cloud? Do they not have anything on private cloud? Are the crown jewels properly marked or not? Do you need to work more on operation side or more on policy management and prevention? This is something you need to now tell and find your focus areas. You can't do everything in your first 90 days, but this is what you need to pinpoint. What important projects I need to take. Are there any projects running which I need to, really focus on and get done faster? So you can see the triage here. Out of so many things, you need to now, based on the information you've collected in your 0 to 30 days, you need to chalk out what needs to be done and put them in the shape of a project plan with clear responsibilities. It has to be very clear with resources, what support you need from the departments, what support you need from your sponsor, what kind of budgets are required. This is what you need to do in your 30 to 60 days to show a short-term plan that for 0 to 6 months, this is going to be a plan, and then on also a bigger plan, which is 0 to 3 years maybe. But yes, the 3-year plan can be very, very generic, but the 6 months plan has to be very, very crisp. That this is what we're going to do, and this is the impact. is going to bring to us. This will come out from your gap assessment, from your risk assessment of the departments which you will do. So maybe, if you are going through ISO 27001 is a framework you have chosen. So in your 30 to 60 days, you have your risk register with you. If from the risk register, you can say, I'm taking this top 20% of the high risk things, and this is how I'm going to mitigate them by putting this people, process, and technology in place. That is something which you need to do. I'm sure a lot of people must be thinking, so what I'm saying here is that from 0 to 60 days, I'm not gone into operations. But believe me, that if you have said this, you're going to now do changes on a roller coaster. Otherwise, what will happen is, as I said earlier, your focus will be lost. Why you have come here? You've not come here for operations. You have come here to set security as a culture. That is what CISO is all about. The security needs to breathe inside the culture of the organization. It is not something which IT needs to look at. To have that, 360 days are very important for you. So that is what we did. Maybe some people have got good insights, which I would like to hear later, which I can enhance to the presentation. So please keep your ideas handy. So as I said, can be your, critical things which you have identified. Maybe you want to work on critical business processes, take out their risk and then try to mitigate them. Maybe you have noticed that the organization is just not following patch management, which is the basic rule for security. So maybe you have that in place for your plan and the team. Maybe you feel that the backups are not in place, which is like very, very important. So it depends on organization to organization. Maybe there's another organization which has all the three in place, but data classification is not there. So you don't know which is, what is the confidential information which needs to be there. There can be an organization where four things are there, but a good robust security policy is not there, which can support you, that which can support your third party transfers. Maybe those clauses are not there in the security policy. So that is what something you need to look at. Maybe things are there, but now you're lacking teams. Maybe because when you were joining, there was a lot of resignations, but the team is not there. So you have a lot of things to do, but how will you manage it? So maybe that takes priority. So this is something which you need to focus and find in your first 0 to 30 to 60 days and come out with a plan and start acting on it. And yes, so this was all about planning and things. But what I feel sometimes is that in 30 to 60 days at least, we should have something also running for security awareness. Because again, this, as I said, we'll be having our coordinators, and this will again set the context right with people. That is why I would always give very importance to training. And 30 to 60 days, something or the other should kickstart where training is concerned. It can be a simple training. It can be just giving them a relevance that a security department is being set up, and this is 5 hygiene things which is expected from you. It can be very simple, like clear desk policy. It can be, please don't keep your systems on. You might be, there'll be people who will be watching this. It can be simple, like email security, a simple training on email security. It can be maybe you're sending 5 flyers in 30 to 60 days, which kickstarts your project. Everybody knows that something is about to come. Maybe if it is a very application heavy company, and like they're into a lot of clients, which is an IT company, and a lot of software have been built and given to clients, maybe you just kickstart a security training where you just call everybody and just set the perspective that something like this is happening. Anybody has any interest in security training, or they already have done it, you are gathering information. So these kind of trainings can start something like that. If there's a lot of third party involvements, you might as well, doing a meeting with third party, you do a small training for them for security. So these things you should have handy. So what happens is that they also get something in return. So they are very happy, and they want to really support you in your 30 to 60 days. So this is something which is there. Now let's see customer facing security. This is something which I feel that mostly should hit your project plan in your 30 to 60 days. These two things, because that is also very important if you are handling a lot of customers. So how the security has been taken care of and what you have put in your plan. Because at the end of the day, we customers is something we really need to look at. Okay, so so we have now crossed the major 2 months of our new role, and I'm sure everybody is like, very, very, geared up now to do things. And so the third month has now set in, and we really want to now show that what 2 months, what we have done so much of work, how are we acting, how much support we are giving to the organization now. So that, what we did is that now you can divide your work, that to show also, and for your teams also, that what all now we are doing in business continuity. Because at the end of the day, all organizations want to understand that yes, I am doing patch management, I am doing whatever trainings. At the end of the day, the mantra is like, how secure is my business? So if I get hit, what is my RTO and RPO? People don't understand maybe the technical language, but when you put it on the paper and tell them that this is your, this is how then your applications will be up and running, even if something happens, it gives them a lot of peace. Like we have a customer care application where we have a toll-free number where a lot of people call, and like we have 4,000 calls a day. That suppose now my customer care head may not understand that even if the application goes down, what will happen? My toll free is still working. But to tell him that your toll free, if your application is working, but the application is tightly bundled with the toll free, and if the application goes down, we won't be able to register any complaints. He knows now the importance of his application. Of So earlier he would say it's IT's problem. Why should I look at, like whether the application is going down or not? You people take care of it. But we need to explain it to them that at the end of the day, it is your business which is getting hit. So you also need to get that buy-in. You also need to understand that even if it goes down, it'll be up in half an hour. Because are you okay with it? You need to take their buy-in. Maybe because maybe you are putting in so many security controls where the application must be running 100%, but maybe he tells you that this is not so critical. If it is half an hour down in a month, I'm okay with it. Then your security plan will tweak accordingly. Your budgets will tweak accordingly. So that is what in 60 to 90 days you need to function. Your business continuity plan. That is something we really need to work on and get it prepared. Whatever we did earlier, whatever plans we did, it needs to get aligned with business continuity. Next is prepare for the worst, of course. How are we preparing for the worst? So these days, I think in 2021, we all know that something happened which no one would have thought of. And most of the business continuity plans failed at that time for most of the organizations. Like for our organization, we went from 0% work from home to 100% work from home in 2 days. So you can imagine the sleepless nights I had, that how are we going to enable our teams securely to work from home? They're connecting to different networks. I I was lucky enough that we had our secure VPNs in place. We had our firewall satellites. We had the bandwidth. We had the laptops available where our security was very tight. But still, so the I think 2021, the buzzword is resilience. So you need to understand, and you need to make people understand that we will be hit by breaches. We will get some problems, but how quickly we can come out of it is something which we are working on in these 60 to 90 days. That is what needs to come out from all your work which you are doing. If suppose an application has gone down, do you have a decision tree in place where you can, if my email has gone down, how do I inform people that my email is not working, or how to reach other people? So do you have a decision tree where all these things are mapped in? This is what you need to work on your 60 to 90 days. Prepare your tabletop exercises. The drills are very important. How we are going to do it. Who, whom to go to is something very important. Where to report the breaches. I have seen in some organizations a larger breach could have been stopped, but when a small breach was happening, the person didn't know where to go, and he just reported it somewhere else, and the security persons didn't come to know about it, and a major ransomware attack happened. So that is very important. You should know in your 60 to 90 days, the people should be aware where to go and what to report, where to report. The culture should have been set in. They should know that they should not be scared if they do something wrong. That open culture now should have been there in the organization. So that is what we need to work. What is our preparedness for the breach? So you'll come to know about it if you do a tabletop exercise, if you do a drill. That is very important. So that is something you really need to look at. And third, which is like, which I love, because that is something which helps the CISO function properly. Because at the end of the day, you need to also upskill yourself. You need to know that the skills which were okay for you to getting hired, are they now okay to run this organization? You might feel that you need to upskill yourself. So now as a CISO, you need to build something for yourself, which will be, maybe what I called it as a CISO calendar, a CISO office. So that CISO office needs to be built in. So that the work which you have done now, the plans which are in place, how are they functioning? Are they functioning fine? What kind of reports you want to see? What kind of budget trackers you have? What kind of team management strategies you have? You need to build a complete matrix for yourself, which on periodic basis, maybe your team or you yourself collect and prepare. What kind of reports you want to send to the management? That is very important, so that they know that what work is happening and what kind of initiatives you are taking. So one thing which is there is the audit calendar. So I don't have it handy right now, otherwise I would have shown it here. So in that audit calendar, you need to put in all the audits you want to do internally with a proper timeline and who's responsible for it and what kind of reports you want to see. And then the NCs, and you know the drill. Now what all the NCs and how they'll be, taken care of. What all drills you want to do? Like, you want to do any failover drills. You want to do any drills where, the password policy drills. Any drills you want to do, you need to look at that. The rack status, as I said earlier, you need to be a good project manager. Because see, running a CISO function, you need to understand all the work will not be done by you. There'll be different teams who will be supporting you to do your work. Mostly I've seen that CISO is in an advisory function, and even security projects are run by maybe operations. So you need to know how to manage your projects. So that's the reason you need to have project management skills, program management skills, and have a good project status dashboard, which tells you which project is red, amber, and green. Budget trackers, that is the most important responsibility of CISO. Because you can say, I need 100 things, but you don't have a budget for it. How will you get it? So you need to know where to prioritize your budgets and maintain it properly. This is very important. Cross-department meeting calendar, which I've been enforcing from 0 to 30 days. You need to always have your meetings aligned with the senior management, with the middle management, and also, with the lower people who are actually on the job. Why? You know what? How I do it, I always call for a chips and coke party with people where there are no managers involved. Those are the pulse. They will tell you what's happening. They will be open to you and tell you, this is something which happened to me. So get that thing flowing. Get that. You need to see whether in the organization you want a formal meeting culture or you want informal meeting culture, but what goes. Because at the end of the day, you need to understand the pulse. Also, regulatory and compliances, you should have good relationships with them and see where that, as I said, 0 30 days, you must be knowing where the regulation is. But now, how to manage it is something we need to take care of in our 60 to 90 days. So I'm sure that these 3 months would be very exciting for you when you join a new organization or you have been, promoted to one. So what I feel is that this is something I've summarized, that in your 90 plus days, we should have at least a security assessment of the organization done, a very solid relationship with your peers, with your mentors, with your, your senior management. You should have a good improved security budget, because as I said, that you'll show the security gap assessment and what things have been done. So the management has, your sponsor has a lot of faith in you that you are going on the right path. Also, you have developed some good, plans for the company. And also, as I said, tabletop exercises, the playbooks are very, very important. Try to automate as much as possible. And there's a great relationship with the directors. This is something which you must have achieved in 90 days, and then there is no stopping. They always say that your first 3 months, if you listen to any gurus who really teach you on how on management lessons, first 3 months make your presence in an organization. So I hope this session was, gave you some tips, and I would love to hear from all of you some other tips if you have, so that I can incorporate in the presentation and all of us can benefit from it. So thank you very much for this session. Ritika, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mansi, for an insightful and informative session. I hope you all have enjoyed this amazing presentation. Now, a quick reminder to all our women attendees today. Don't forget to fill out the survey after this session to gain access to an exclusive CodeRed box bundle designed by global women leaders Dr. Anuradha Rao, founder of Cyber Cognizance, and Lisa, CISSP certified instructor for the United States Air Force, which will be releasing soon. This is our gift to you as we celebrate Women's History Month. EC Council University has announced a President's Scholarship for Women in Cybersecurity, a dedicated women-oriented program assisting new and current women undergraduates and graduates with tuition assistance worth 2,500 USD to reach their future endeavors. More important, more information about this is in the chat window. Today's session is in sync with the EC Council Certified on Chief Information Security Officer. CCISO is an executive level program that covers what you should know about information security from an executive management point of view. It combines all the components required for this C-level position, including audit management, governance, IS controls, human capital management, strategic program development, and financial expertise. Over 6,000 Chief Information Security Officers jobs openings, and the average salary of a Chief Information Security Officer in the US is $161,000 plus dollars. If you are interested to know more, kindly take part in the poll that's going to be conducted now. So now we are taking the first question, Mansi.
Okay. So should I read it out?
I will read it out. You can answer.
Okay.
How many years are needed for one to be fully cooked CISO? And what all the recommended set of required skills required?
Uh,
Mansi, should I read it out again?
yeah, actually, I'm not able to, get it on my screen. Can I see that somewhere?
I am reading it out. You can just answer. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So how many years are needed for one to be fully cooked CISO? And are there any recommended set of required skills?
Yeah, so I would say that to be a good CISO, I think you should have at least 10 plus years of experience in information technology and security. And yes, skills, as I had mentioned, earlier also, one and foremost is you should be a good communicator and a project manager. Second is, yes, technically, I would say that you should be hands-on with security, understand security very well. Third, what I understand is that now the CISO role has evolved so much, you really need to understand business. That is very important for a CISO to be a CISO. Otherwise, you'll just be a technology function. So you need to understand business process, then only you'll be able to understand criticalities, right? So that is something very important. And fourth, now because of the growing things that everything is being done on applications, I really feel that some knowledge of application side of things, how coding is done, how applications are developed, databases, that is something also which is very important. And rest, as you said rightly, Ritika, I am a huge fan of EC Council, and even I am going through the course of CISO, and I want to get certified on that. I've already enrolled for it. And as per CISO also, the skills like, which are very general leadership skills are also very important. Like you said, the budgeting skills, the communication skills, the project management, how you handle people, all that is something now CISO really requires. Earlier, not so much. Now, I think 70% of the skills is more important, and 30% technology leader. I think that is the best mantra for a CISO.
Thank you, Mansi, for the answer. The next question is, what are the critical skills that needs to be developed, both technical and non-technical?
Yeah, so I think it is similar to the first question. So the skills which are non-technical is you should always have a learning curve on, because security is a very, very dynamic subject. So you always need to be on your toes and understand. Second is, I would say, also have a very good networking with your peers and your mentors. That is something which is also very important, because see, everybody can't know everything, but to stay informed and how to network. And because I've seen a lot of CISOs don't are not someone who are people's person. So that is also very important. Networking and being a people's person is something very, very important skill for a CISO. Third is, of course, yes, you should have some level of project management skills. Fourth is, yes, you should have some kind of analytical skills as well, because see, a lot of things in security is looking at patterns, understanding how things are working. And so if you have an analytical mind, you'll be able to quickly find those things and work on it. Fifth is, yes, if you have an analytical mind, you'll be able to construct very good reporting for your team as well as for your seniors, so that they can understand where things are. So these are the soft skills which are really important. And on the technical side, as I said, you need to be hands-on with understanding security, understanding hardwares, how maybe an ethical hacking is something you should a course which you should do. Case is also a very good course which you can do to understand application security technically, because these two things are very important to understand. Third is knowledge about dark web, deep webs, and how the security function works. Why things are important. See, we sometimes what happens is, we have all the skills, but we don't understand why we have that skill. What is there to protect? So that is something which we need to go deep dive and understand. So these are some of the skills which are really required.
Thank you, Mansi. Next question is, which are the certificates recommended for CISO?
Yeah, so as Ritika said, I think CISO is something which is really, really picking up across the world. In India also, we are seeing a lot of people going for CISO. CISSP also, I feel it is a good course which we can do as a certification. And it depends on what kind of CISO you want to be. If you want to be a business CISO, then CISO is a perfect course. If you want to be, maybe join an IT company, be an application side hardcore CISO where you are, into application security and things like that. So you can club it with CASE also, which is an application security program from EC Council. That is also very good. Plus, I would say have a project management certification as well. It can be PMP, it can be any other, but that will really help you across. And the thing which really helped me was also Six Sigma Black Belt, because at the end of the day, because I'm a business CISO, I need to understand the businesses. So understanding Six Sigma and how the business works really helped me there. So that is also one certification. There are a lot of if you go online and search, there are a lot of roadmaps on what kind of CISOs you want to be and what kind of education you should pursue. So maybe you can search something there as well.
Thank you, Mansi. The next question is, what are the three common types of CISO?
Sorry, common.
Common types of CISO.
Okay, so type of CISO, I don't know what exactly they mean. So what I understand is that there is one is the corporate CISO, which is, which is a corporate level CISO, looks after security internally. One is the CISO, which is who is external. So maybe, if you are working in an IT company and then there's this CISO who talks to the customers, get projects in from the security side, there are a lot of projects which, so they are more of a sales person who is also a CISO and goes and bags some projects there. So that is one. And I think that's about it. Those are the two front. One is the external CISO facing the world, and the other is an internal CISO who's, looking after the corporate function. But yes, in the corporate, you can have like two, three types. Like it can be a business CISO, it can be an application level, maybe someone who's more focused on privacy and business. So it depends on organization to organization.
Okay. Next question is, what is the major change in CISO role due to pandemic?
Yeah, I love this question, and I would say that the role changes like I think 10 times what it was in 2020. So first and foremost role is that people have started taking CISO and security in a new light and giving them importance. I would say all the security people will agree to it that now CISO is a boardroom topic. Earlier it was more of an IT function. So now we are seeing a lot of CISOs being, directly reporting to the board. And board, even if not directly reporting, the board at least have one or two meetings with them in a month so that they want to know what happening in the security posture. This is something where the CISO has been put on a different bar altogether. Thirdly, yes, as I said earlier, it was more on the technology side. They were very internal function, not talking to a lot of people. Now they are just, the perspective has completely changed. CISO is more of a business person, talking to their peers, talking to stakeholders, getting security as a culture inside the organization. Earlier it was not so. Talking to a lot of regulators, talking to a lot of, privacy experts. A lot is happening now. They have become very, very, external facing person where everybody knows who the CISO is. Earlier, it was not that way. So that is something which I see. Three things which have remarkably changed. One is putting security, as a major function in an organization and aligning it with business goals. Second, what I see is that security projects getting a lot of importance and a lot of budgets to get things done. And third is, of course, as I said, being more on the business side. CISO has now really moved on the business side. That is something post-pandemic we have seen. And of course, CISO having sleepless nights because of the post-pandemic, because there is no parameter now. Everything is, people working from home, so the security has to be very tight. So CISOs are looking at very, very different type of technologies to secure themselves.
Sure. The next question is, how do the Chief Information Officer (CIO) differs from the Chief Information Security Officer (CISO)?
Yeah, so these two are very, very different functions. Though it might be in a small organization, both are taken care of by one. One is someone who is, trying to get the work done, trying to get the applications into the market. Second is trying to protect them from falling, right? One is maintaining one is, you can say, the custodian of the application, and the other is coming around and looking after the CIA of the work the CIO is doing, right? Because CIO is someone who is the owner of the data, he is the owner of the application, he's the owner of all the major critical, you can say, hardware which is there, critical software which are there. So they are into operations managing from the business side that how to enable the business to work more. CISO is someone ensuring that whatever they are doing is under the framework of CIA. That is how it is. So that its confidentiality, its integrity, and its availability is there. So it is, in simple words, that is the difference.
Okay, Mansi. Our last question is the job role of a CISO more of a strategist or just operational?
I would say it's both. But now with the new role coming in, strategy is something which is like, you can say, a 60-40 thing. Because at the end of the day, but it depends from organization to organization. But I think that operations should also be a part of the CISO work culture, because at the end of the day, they need to get into the operations to see what's happening. Advisory role, yes, a lot of organizations now have CISO into advisory roles only, which is more on a strategic side. And that's why I said that project management is very important to look after the projects which you are not handling yourself. But yes, operations is also something which should be, looked after, completely managed by CISO. That is what I feel. But yes, it is a 60-40 ratio, and in the future I feel it might go to 70-30. There are a lot of talks happening where they're saying that it should be more on a strategic level and the operation should be handled by someone else.
This is the end of our Q&A session. Thank you once again, Mansi, for answering those questions and for the great
Thank you.
presentation. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure to
Ritika. My
have you with
pleasure.
us.
Same here, Ritika. It was my pleasure. Thank you, EC Council and the other team members and all the audience for joining in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Mansi.
Thank you.
this concludes the webinar. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed the presentation. Now you all can end the webinar. Thank you.